While in a client program book, we can navigate to branch options and we'll see bulk phase changes and bulk events. The distinction between these two is that a phase change is a change to conditions, whereas an event line is a setting event. The way that we have it in our system, phase change lines are solid black lines, whereas event lines have a distinct start and end. We have them as dashed purple lines. To enter in a phase change, in bulk, we'll put bulk phase change. We're able to specify a name for the phase change. If we want a label to occur before or after the line, and if there's a specific date, in addition to any other optional comments that we may have, and that will live in the raw data history. So keep this in mind for the phase changes. You have one singular date and it'll drop in one line. When we go to the branch options and check out the events, you'll see that there is a distinct start date and end date. Same options that we've got here. We can name them, we can put in our optional comment, we can hit save. Now, the cool thing about the phase change and event lines is you can add them to single targets, you could add them to single programs, you could add them to entire domains, or you can add them to every single target in the entire book at once. Now, the way to do that is if we were to click on a domain and say, we want to attach this to every single book, we can actually click right here to the binder level, and I could put in a bulk event and say Sabin hospitalized. I can specify the start and end date. So let's say that happened on Monday and Sabin came home on Friday. When I hit save, it'll say that I've attached it to 106 branches. So it's a huge time savings. So if I was to click on just one of these targets, we'll see it right there, Sabin hospitalized. Now the phase change lines work in that same exact way. So if you are doing a change to conditions, so if you put in a new behavior plan, for example, you could have that fall on all of your targets. You just click on the long-term goal, so the behaviors for decrease or even your behavior reduction goal. And when you add in your phase change line, it'll appear on all of these targets at once. So just to reiterate, you can add phase change lines and event lines in bulk on any tier that you want. By clicking on the top, you can add it to every target branch. By clicking on a domain, so the long-term goal, you can add it on all of the corresponding short-term goals. By clicking on a short-term goal, you can add it to all of the targets, or by clicking on an individual target, you can just add it to there. Now, there is an important warning that's given inside both the phase change lines and events. And it says, this will add a phase change to the current branch and any child branches, which is great. It's exactly what you want. But the warning is removing these phase changes will need to be done individually. So be very, very cognizant that if you add a phase change or an event line to 150 graphs in one fell swoop, make sure you're very, very careful to write things in exactly the way you want to, because you would have to go and change them all individually.
Another consideration for the phase change and event change is the ability to notify your technicians of this change. What you can do is if it's at the target level that you are making that change, again, only if it's at the target level, you can actually go to your program notebook, and here I've made a change to attending and sustained engagement set 1. I've made a phase change, and I can simply add a comment and letting the technicians know phase change occurred. Please review. And then what you'll notice is when they go into their session, the next time they go into their session, have a session for John Doe, attending and sustained engagement, there's a notification, an alert that there's a comment, so that they'll be able to go in and they're going to be able to see the phase change, but it may not be salient for them until they actually view the comment at the bottom. Phase change occurred, please review. When you have bulk phase changes and event changes, unfortunately there's no way to make comments in a broader sense unless you actually add something to your client notebook. So I'm going to show you how to add general notes so that if you have bulk phase and event changes, that you can have a notes section in your data sheet for just common notes about any of the programs. So what you're going to do is you're going to navigate to your program notebook, and you're going to click on the top, the client's program name and program book. And here's where you're going to want to add a branch. You want to make sure that you're at the notebook level so that when you add a branch, it's going to be separate from client programs and separate from client treatment plan narrative. So I'm adding a branch, and this is just a resource. These are notes, so these are things that we're not collecting data on. And so I'll type in notes or communication log as well, and I can add it to the program notebook. You want to make sure, as usual, you make it active. And then the only thing that you have to do is you need to add it to a session. So I'm going to add it to that data sheet, and you can add it to the session. I'll show you one more thing about how to make the notes area salient on the session data sheet as a review of how to reorder your items on your data sheet. So in order to look and see where your notes lie in your data sheet, go to Clinical, Sessions. Sessions are synonymous with data sheets. I'm going to Sally Samples data sheet. And when you add something new to a session, it usually goes to the bottom, which is okay. But if this is the communication log, what you're probably going to want to do is you can make comments here, but you might want to reorder the targets so that the notes in the communication log are at the top. So what you do is you go to the gear icon, reorder, edit branches, and then I'm going to find the notes branch, and I'm going to look at these vertical dots over here and grab hold of them and bring this all the way up to the top.